Welcome back, traveler. Step inside, because what's happening around your name right now is beyond logic, beyond coincidence, beyond anything you ever expected. People you didn't even know exist are now fighting to claim loyalty to you. And the craziest part? You didn't recruit them. You didn't ask for support. You didn't make a speech. You didn't launch a movement. You didn't go around looking for allies. You simply evolved. And people responded to the frequency of your evolution. Your growth became a signal. Your presence became a call. Your aura became a gravitational field. Your energy became a beacon in the dark. People you've never spoken to, never crossed paths with, never exchanged a single word with, have suddenly become emotionally invested in your rise. Not because they know you, but because they feel you. Because energy travels faster than reputation. And your energy has been moving in ways you don't even realize. Quietly, steadily, silently touching people who need the type of clarity you're stepping into. What you don't see is the ripple effect your shift created. Your glow reached timelines you never entered. Your confidence reached people who were waiting for someone like you. Your transformation reached souls you weren't aware were watching. Your resilience reached hearts that needed proof that strength could be quiet. Your presence reached minds searching for alignment. There are people out there who don't know your full story, don't know your past, don't know what you've survived, don't know the weight you carried, but they feel your spirit. And something in it resonates with the part of themselves they've been trying to awaken. That's why loyalty is forming. That's why people are gravitating toward you. That's why strangers are taking positions that people close to you never dared to take. Because loyalty isn't built from closeness. It's built from alignment. And you've begun aligning with a version of yourself that commands devotion without asking for it. You are no longer the person who blends in. You are no longer the person who bends to be accepted. You are no longer the person who stays small for comfort. You are no longer the person who silences truth to maintain peace. Your evolution has made you stand out, and people are noticing. Your honesty cuts through noise. Your presence changes the air. Your focus inspires people silently. Your self-respect gives others permission to respect themselves. Your boundaries teach people how to hold their own ground. There are people who've been watching your journey from a distance, not in a creepy way, but in that quiet observer way, where someone sees your strength before you even admit it to yourself. They've seen your growth, they've seen your resilience, they've seen your transformation. They've seen you outgrow the noise that used to swallow you whole. And something in them said, "That's a person worth standing beside." That's the kind of loyalty you can't buy. You can't manipulate. You can't force. You can't demand. It only comes when your energy speaks the language of someone who leads without trying to lead. People are drawn to those who carry themselves like they've walked through storms and came back glowing. People are drawn to those who stand grounded while everyone else is collapsing under pressure. People are drawn to those who carry a calmness that looks like authority and a confidence that feels like truth. People are drawn to those who rise without stepping on anyone. And you're becoming that type of person. Your growth isn't just personal, it's inspirational. Your transformation isn't just internal, it's visible to those sensitive enough to feel it. Your elevation isn't just for you, it's awakening things inside others. And now you're seeing the effect. People you don't know are defending your name in conversations you'll never hear, are shutting down false narratives before you even know they exist, are protecting your energy like they've known you for years, are celebrating your rise even though they're not part of your story. And the irony is, some of the people who claim to be close to you never even offered that kind of loyalty. That's what evolution does. It reveals who was truly aligned with your spirit and who was just aligned with your comfort. Your glow-up didn't just attract attention, it attracted devotion. Because people don't want to follow someone perfect. They want to follow someone real. And you've become real in a world addicted to pretending. You've become someone who speaks from experience, moves from intuition, acts from clarity, chooses from alignment, and carries from truth. This version of you is magnetic, not the loud type of magnetic, the grounded, precise, intentional kind. The kind that makes people say, I don't know them well, but something about them feels right. You've tapped into a frequency that pulls in souls who are tired of superficiality, souls who crave authenticity, souls who admire transformation, souls who respect spiritual strength, souls who recognize emotional intelligence, souls who resonate with subtle power. Your aura isn't just glowing, it's signaling. And people are responding. You're inspiring people you've never met. You're motivating people who never told you. You're influencing people who never reached out. You're touching lives without even being aware of it. This is what happens when you evolve from your soul. Your energy becomes a blueprint. Your presence becomes a map. Your path becomes a reference point. Your journey becomes a lantern in someone else's darkness. And because of that, people feel loyal to you in ways you don't understand yet. Not because they want to use you, not because they want recognition, not because they want access, but because they feel aligned with the person you're becoming. You are carrying a frequency that makes people want to protect it, a clarity that makes people want to stand beside it, a truth that makes people want to defend it, a presence that makes people want to claim it. People you never knew are standing behind you now, not because you asked them to, but because your energy gave them something solid to believe in. This is not accidental. This is not random. This is not coincidence. This is resonance. You've shifted your frequency, and now the world is shifting its response. What you have to understand now is this. Loyalty from strangers is never actually about you as a person. It's about the frequency you've stepped into. People aren't fighting to stand behind you because of your past. They're standing behind you because of your presence. Your presence is different now. It carries a weight that most people never develop. It carries a clarity that most people never reach. It carries a stillness that most people can't maintain. Your energy has become a rare resource. And rare resources attract protectors. Some people protect gold. Some protect truth. Some protect peace. But the people drawn to you right now, they're protecting your rise, and they don't even fully know why. There's something about the way you've evolved that makes people feel like you're meant for something bigger, something greater than your environment, something deeper than your circumstances, something more significant than your past. Your transformation has taken on a mythic quality. Not dramatic, not theatrical, but quietly legendary. The kind of growth that whispers instead of screams. The kind that people feel before they see. The kind that moves souls before it moves eyes. And people who feel that, they're instinctively loyal to it. Because everyone, consciously or subconsciously, wants to attach themselves to something real. And you've become real in a world that rewards masks. You're not faking confidence. You built it. You're not pretending to heal. You actually did. You're not acting aligned. You earned your alignment. You're not performing strength. You walked through the fire to embody it. People can sense that authenticity. It's gravitational. It makes strangers feel like you're someone worth standing behind. Not because of who you are, but because of what you represent. You represent evidence. Evidence that growth is possible. Evidence that healing is real. Evidence that reinvention is allowed. Evidence that silence has value. Evidence that self-respect transforms destiny. Evidence that spiritual alignment attracts the right people. You're not just a person anymore. You're a signal. A sign that becoming the highest version of yourself is possible. Even after everything you went through, even after the setbacks, even after the heartbreaks, even after the disappointments. And people latch on to that. Some early, some quietly, some secretly, some publicly. That's why it feels like individuals you've never met are suddenly defending you like they've known you their entire lives. Your journey stirred something inside them, either admiration, inspiration, or a sense of recognition that feels like loyalty. These are people who saw your strength before you even showcased it. People who believed in your rise before the rise became visible. People who felt your intentional silence before it turned into authority. People who saw the shift in your energy before you realized others were watching. And now? Now they're choosing sides, choosing you, choosing to protect what feels genuine, choosing to stand with what feels aligned. They don't know you. They know your vibration. And that vibration doesn't lie. The loyalty you're witnessing now is not random, not accidental, not coincidental. It's intuitive. People are aligning with your energy because your energy has become a form of leadership. Not the kind that demands followers, but the kind that awakens them. This is why some people close to you never offered this level of loyalty, because their loyalty was based on proximity, not alignment. But strangers? Their loyalty is based on resonance. They feel something in you that they either wish they had, or something they're hoping to develop. Your glow pulls people forward. Your evolution pulls people inward. Your boundaries pull people upward. Your presence pulls people into their own truth. That's why people you've never met are defending you in conversations you'll never hear. They see your journey differently. They see it through the lens of someone who came from nothing but still chooses integrity. Through the lens of someone who's been underestimated but never became bitter. Through the lens of someone who was broken but rebuilt themselves beautifully. Through the lens of someone who carries fire but burns no one. The world respects a flame that never loses control. You've become that flame. Your gentleness doesn't make you weak. It makes you magnetic. Your silence doesn't make you passive. It makes you unreadable. Your strength doesn't make you intimidating. It makes you undeniable. And people respond to what's undeniable. This is the part no one tells you about the glow-up. Your supporters won't always come from the places you expect. Sometimes, strangers see your value before friends do. Sometimes, distant souls see your potential before close ones do. Sometimes, the world outside sees your greatness before the world you live in acknowledges it. That's exactly what's happening to you now. People are stepping forward, not because you asked, not because you demanded, not because you manipulated loyalty, but because they felt something in you. And people always defend what they feel connected to. They're claiming loyalty to you because your rise symbolizes something they needed to witness. A reminder that authenticity still wins. A reminder that quiet strength still rises. A reminder that spiritual clarity still has power. A reminder that energy doesn't lie. A reminder that growth doesn't require an audience. A reminder that alignment attracts alignment. You became a reminder, and reminders turn strangers into believers. Now, here's the deeper layer, the one that stuns people the most. Your name carries weight in places you've never been. Your story inspires people you've never spoken to. Your journey strengthens hearts you'll never meet. Your presence is felt in circles you didn't know existed. You're not aware of how many people look at your growth and quietly say, if they can rise, maybe I can too. And that is the purest, strongest, most unbreakable source of loyalty. Not loyalty built from favors, but loyalty built from inspiration. Not loyalty built from manipulation, but loyalty built from resonance. Not loyalty built from closeness, but loyalty built from respect. You didn't seek followers. Your energy formed a tribe around you. A tribe of people who see your evolution as proof that transformation is possible. A tribe of people who feel your presence as a reminder of their own potential. A tribe of people who stand behind you because they stand behind the version of themselves that sees truth in your journey. People you didn't even know exist are claiming loyalty to you because you've stepped into a vibration they've been waiting for. Your energy is leading, even if you're not trying to lead. And here's where everything shifts. The moment you realize this loyalty forming around you isn't just temporary admiration. It's a sign of something much larger unfolding. Because people don't claim loyalty to someone quietly rising. They claim loyalty to someone whose energy feels like destiny. And whether you see it yet or not, your journey has moved into a phase where you're no longer just living your life. You're influencing the emotional landscape of everyone who crosses your frequency. Your presence has become a signal. Your growth has become a message. Your silence has become a guide. Your evolution has become a map. People aren't standing behind you because they think you're perfect. They're standing behind you because they can feel you're becoming someone rare. Someone who doesn't betray their own spirit. Someone who doesn't shrink under pressure. Someone who doesn't break their own values. Someone who doesn't sell their soul for acceptance. Someone who doesn't dim their glow to comfort the insecure. People are starving for authenticity, and your evolution has fed them in ways you don't even realize. Your rise isn't loud, it isn't flashy, it isn't chaotic. It's intentional, it's grounded, it's spiritual, it's precise. And that kind of rise awakens loyalty in people who've spent their whole lives searching for someone who reflects the strength they're trying to build within themselves. They look at you and see someone who didn't collapse, someone who didn't crumble, someone who didn't lose themselves when life tried to strip everything away. Someone who kept going, not loudly, not publicly, but privately, consistently, faithfully. You represent the version of themselves they're trying to unlock. So of course they want to stand beside you. Of course they want to defend you. Of course they want to claim loyalty to you. It's not obsession, it's recognition. People recognize the energy of a person who walked through their own darkness and came back with light in their eyes. And that's you. That's why even strangers feel connected to you. They've felt that darkness too. They've walked through their own storms. They've battled their own quiet wars. When they see your strength, they don't see you. They see their own potential reflected back at them. That reflection creates loyalty stronger than any friendship based on convenience. Your growth gave them hope. Your boundaries gave them clarity. Your silence gave them perspective. Your transformation gave them courage. And loyalty always forms around courage. But here's the part that hits the deepest. You didn't ask for any of this. You didn't try to lead. You didn't try to inspire. You didn't try to attract followers. Your only job, your only focus, was becoming the person you always knew you could be. But when you become aligned, when you become healed, when you become centered, when you become authentic, the world responds. People feel it. People adjust to it. People grow because of it. People want to stand beside it. And now you're at that stage where your presence has built its own ecosystem. An ecosystem of people who look at you and think, that's a person worth protecting. That's a person worth supporting. That's a person worth learning from. That's a person worth claiming loyalty to. Not because you're flawless, but because you're real. And real is rare. Real is magnetic. Real is revolutionary. People crave real so much that when they see it, they cling to it. They defend it. They stand in front of it. They shield it from noise. They speak on its behalf. You've become a symbol, a quiet, grounded, rising symbol of what it looks like to transform without losing your soul. That's why they choose your side. That's why they speak your name with respect. That's why they're willing to stand with you without even knowing you personally. Because soul recognizes soul. Strength recognizes strength. Truth recognizes truth. Your journey awakened something in them. Something loyal. Something protective. Something courageous. Something committed. And that's the beauty of this phase of your rise. The people coming toward you now aren't coming for what you have. They're coming for who you are. Their loyalty doesn't fade with circumstances. Their loyalty doesn't disappear when things get quiet. Their loyalty doesn't weaken when you're not performing. This is soul-level loyalty. Alignment-level loyalty. Frequency-based loyalty. Loyalty you never asked for, but somehow earned. And as you continue to rise, calmly, quietly, confidently, more people will join this unseen circle around you. Not because you need them, not because you're dependent on them, but because your energy calls to those who resonate with truth. People you never knew exist will keep standing behind you, because your evolution is giving them a future they didn't know how to imagine for themselves. And that kind of loyalty, it doesn't fade. It only grows as you grow. Welcome back, homie. Come closer, because what just happened wasn't spoken out loud. It was felt, and that's why it hit harder than any words ever could. They thought you'd stay quiet, but your aura made the announcement. And the wildest part is, you didn't try to say anything. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't clap back. You didn't defend yourself. You didn't run after validation. You didn't perform for attention. You stayed silent. You stayed grounded. You stayed aligned. But your energy, your presence, your evolution, that spoke louder than any speech, louder than any explanation, louder than any argument. Your aura became the megaphone you never needed to hold. Because real power doesn't shout, it radiates. And that's what you're doing now. You're radiating something people hadn't seen from you before. Something they weren't prepared for. Something they can't ignore anymore. You're carrying yourself differently. Walking differently. Breathing differently. Choosing differently. Moving differently. Vibrating differently. There's a new clarity behind your eyes, a new steadiness in your posture, a new quietness in your presence, not the kind that hides, but the kind that commands the room without asking. Your silence used to be mistaken for weakness. They thought you stayed quiet because you were unsure, afraid, insecure, unaware. But now they're realizing something uncomfortable. Your silence wasn't weakness. Your silence was calibration. You weren't quiet because you had nothing to say. You were quiet because you were becoming someone worth listening to. And now, without uttering a single word, your aura is announcing everything they failed to see. It's announcing your growth. It's announcing your healing. It's announcing your self-respect. It's announcing your alignment. It's announcing your boundaries. It's announcing your evolution. Your energy is telling a story so loud that even the people who avoided acknowledging your rise are hearing it now. You know what's funny? They expected you to return to your old patterns. The old version of you who explained everything. The old version who tolerated too much. The old version who apologized too easily. The old version who stayed soft even when people mishandled you. The old version who kept peace even when your own heart was hurting. But that version of you is gone, dissolved quietly, replaced by someone whose silence works like a spotlight. Your aura is bright in a way that makes people uncomfortable, not because you're intimidating, but because you're unrecognizable to the ones who expected you to stay small. Your aura is telling the truth that your voice doesn't need to. It's saying, I've outgrown what once silenced me. I've stopped explaining myself to the wrong audiences. I understand my value now. I'm not available for old dynamics anymore. I'm operating from alignment, not attachment. I'm not returning to my old self. I'm becoming my true self. That message carries weight, a weight they never thought you would learn to hold. And what makes it even more unsettling for them is that you didn't announce anything in the traditional sense. No social media speeches, no dramatic exits, no emotional outbursts, no grand statements. It was your vibration that shifted, and everyone felt it. Your aura walked into the room before you did. Your energy set the tone before you spoke. Your presence filled the silence in ways that made others reevaluate their assumptions. And now they're looking at you differently. Not because you proved anything, but because you don't need to prove anything. There's a certain kind of respect that comes when people realize your silence wasn't surrender. It was strategy. Your aura is sharper now, like it's been carved from every moment you stayed patient, every moment you held back, every moment you outgrew a reaction that would have drained your spirit. People can feel that refinement. They can feel the difference in your boundaries. They can feel the difference in your emotional maturity. They can feel the difference in your intentions. They can feel the difference in your priorities. They can feel the difference in your self-worth. Your vibe isn't defensive anymore. It's definitive. You're not asking for respect. You are respect. You're not demanding recognition. You radiate recognition. You're not begging for space. You create space. They thought your quietness meant you were shrinking, but in reality, you were expanding in ways they weren't equipped to understand. Your aura is different because you are different. Not on the surface, not in your appearance, not in your social positioning, but in your internal wiring. You healed yourself in places nobody clapped for. You rebuilt yourself in ways nobody witnessed. You transformed in silence because noise wasn't necessary. You found yourself in the spaces where others expected you to fall apart. And now that you're standing in this elevated energy, your aura is saying everything your voice used to beg people to hear. Your aura is announcing your worthiness. Your aura is announcing your clarity. Your aura is announcing your healed identity. Your aura is announcing your new standards. Your aura is announcing your emotional intelligence. Your aura is announcing your refusal to shrink. It's announcing that you're no longer someone who waits to be chosen, you choose yourself. It's announcing that you're no longer someone who tolerates chaos, you guard your peace. It's announcing that you're no longer someone who doubts their intuition, you trust your knowing. It's announcing that you're no longer someone who gets pulled into other people's storms. You've become the calm within your own. They thought you'd stay quiet, and in a way, you did. But what they didn't expect was that your silence would become your strength. Your aura speaks the language they never prepared for. The language of someone who outgrew approval. The language of someone who learned their own worth. The language of someone who no longer bends to be understood. The language of someone who glows from an inner source. The language of someone who moved from pain into power. The language of someone who became aligned with their highest version. People used to read your words. Now they read your energy. And your energy is saying something that can't be ignored. You're not the quiet one anymore. You're the one who no longer needs to speak to be heard. This is the beginning of your new identity. The version of you whose aura reveals more than your voice ever needed to. But the real shift, the one that left people stunned, confused, and uncomfortable, wasn't that you stayed quiet. It's that your quietness changed its meaning. Before, your silence felt small, hesitant, reserved, unsure. Now, your silence feels powerful, intentional, measured, controlled, elevated. People can feel the difference, even if they can't articulate it. The old you stayed quiet because you didn't want conflict. The new you stays quiet because you don't need validation. The old you stayed quiet because you were trying to be liked. The new you stays quiet because you're rooted in truth. The old you stayed quiet because you doubted your worth. The new you stays quiet because your worth doesn't need defending. This shift, this internal upgrade, is exactly what your aura revealed before your voice ever got involved. They felt it first as confusion, because when someone's energy changes, the room changes with them. People suddenly don't know how to approach you in the same familiar way. They don't know which version of you they're dealing with. They don't know if the old patterns still apply. Your silence used to signal vulnerability. Now, your silence signals authority. That's why their reactions changed. That's why people who never noticed you before now watch you closely. That's why people who spoke over you are now listening harder. That's why people who assumed you were easy to predict now hesitate. You didn't change your script. You changed your frequency. And frequency always speaks first. Your aura announced things long before your words did. Announced that you're no longer operating from insecurity. Announced that you're no longer movable by other people's energy. Announced that you're no longer available for dynamics that drain you. Announced that you're no longer shaped by people's opinions. Announced that you're no longer giving your peace away for free. People felt the announcement, not through sound, through sensation. They felt the weight of your boundaries. They felt the strength of your restraint. They felt the confidence in your calmness. They felt the elevation in your posture. They felt the shift in your presence. And because you didn't verbally explain anything, people had nothing to debate, only something to respond to. The truth is, your aura gave you the kind of announcement that people can't argue with, can't deny, can't distort. Because energy doesn't lie. And your energy is telling a story now. A story of someone who left their old self behind, with grace, not bitterness. A story of someone who reclaimed their power quietly. A story of someone who removed themselves from cycles that no longer matched their growth. A story of someone who discovered their identity without external permission. That story is speaking louder than any speech ever could. You know what's funny? People thought you staying quiet meant you were done. They thought silence meant defeat. They thought silence meant you had nothing left to say. They didn't realize silence was the first sign that you were leveling up. Because real transformation doesn't make noise, it makes presence. Your aura has stepped into a new chapter, and everyone can feel the shift, even if you haven't spoken a single sentence about it. The people who used to dismiss you, now they double-check their words around you. Now they second-guess their tone. Now they pay attention to your reactions. Now they look at you as if trying to decode a new language. A language you learned while healing. A language you learned while letting go. A language you learned while rebuilding. A language you learned while stepping into your truth. Your aura speaks fluently now, and the message it carries is unmistakable. I've outgrown the version of myself you once knew. This realization hit people in stages. First came confusion. Something feels different about them. Then came intrigue. What changed? Then came respect. They're moving differently now. Then came caution. I need to be careful how I interact with them. And now comes the final stage. The one where they realize you no longer exist in their old frame of reference. They can't talk to you the way they used to. They can't guilt you like they used to. They can't assume your compliance like they used to. They can't manipulate your emotions like they used to. They can't distract you from your purpose like they used to. Your aura has rewritten the script without you saying a word. And it's making people adjust. Sometimes willingly, sometimes nervously, sometimes reluctantly. But they're adjusting. Because people can feel when someone has reclaimed their center. They can feel when someone has stepped into their authentic self. They can feel when someone has healed parts of themselves that once kept them small. They can feel when someone has disconnected from the version they tried to mold. You're not reacting from wounds anymore. You're responding from wisdom. You're not operating from lack anymore. You're operating from self-respect. You're not trying to be understood anymore. You're anchored in self-understanding. Your aura announces these truths every time you walk into a room, and it's changing the entire atmosphere around you. People used to treat you based on who you were. Now they treat you based on the energy you carry, and your energy is no longer soft in a way that gets walked over. It's soft in a way that commands respect. It's the softness of emotional intelligence, not insecurity. It's the softness of maturity, not weakness. It's the softness of awareness, not fear. People feel the difference. They might not say it. They might not compliment you on it. They might not have the vocabulary for it. But their behavior has already exposed the truth. Your aura leveled up, and they're recalibrating to it now. What catches them off guard is that your announcements aren't verbal. They're vibrational. You haven't claimed anything out loud, yet everything about you claims itself. Your aura says, I know who I am now. I know what I deserve. I know what I bring. I know what I won't tolerate. I know my worth without needing your permission. That declaration is louder than any argument, any explanation, any emotional monologue. It's the kind of announcement people feel before they understand. Your aura arrived before the new storyline did, and the people around you are adjusting their behavior like they're suddenly aware they're interacting with someone they don't fully recognize. Someone elevated, grounded, intentional, healed. Someone who no longer operates from the version they once tried to box you into. They thought you'd stay quiet, and in a way, you did. But your aura? It became the voice they can't silence. The voice that reshaped the entire narrative without speaking a word. The voice that announced your evolution long before anyone asked. The voice that changed the dynamic in every room you walk into. Your aura did the talking because your spirit finally stepped into its true volume. And now comes the part no one expected. The part where your silence doesn't just hold power. It defines the room. Because once your aura made the announcement, everything around you rearranged itself. People's tones shifted. Their intentions softened. Their assumptions shattered. Their posture changed. Their words became more careful. Their energy became more cautious. Not because you threatened anything, but because you outgrew everything. Your evolution forced people to confront a truth they weren't prepared for. You don't need to speak for your presence to be understood. And once a person reaches that point, the entire world treats them differently. People who overlooked you suddenly want to be on your good side. People who dismissed you now wait for your reactions. People who underestimated you now second-guess their choices. People who doubted you now read your silence as if it contains hidden messages. And maybe it does. Maybe your silence carries wisdom they never bothered to listen to when you were vocal. Maybe your silence carries strength they never noticed when you were soft. Maybe your silence carries boundaries they never respected when you were open. Your aura is communicating now, constantly, effortlessly, accurately. It's telling the world, I'm not the version you thought I was. I'm not operating at the same frequency anymore. I'm not here to play small to make you comfortable. I'm not shrinking to fit into places that don't match my spirit. That message is loud. So loud, in fact, that the ones who once tried to control your narrative now realize they have no narrative to hold on to. Because you're not playing a character in their story anymore. You're directing your own. And nothing threatens people more than losing access to the version of you they misused. Your aura holds that truth now, the unspoken truth that you're no longer available for the dynamics they once thrived on. You don't respond to bait. You don't chase validation. You don't return to old emotional patterns. You don't explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You don't waste energy where alignment doesn't exist. Your silence exposes what their noise used to hide. And as the dust settles around your transformation, something poetic happens. People realize you were never quiet. You were observant. You were calculating. You were growing. You were rising. You were preparing. Your quiet phase was your cocoon, and your aura is your wings. And now that you've stepped into this new vibration, your presence works like a truth serum. It shows people who they are around you. It reveals their intentions. It exposes their insecurities. It amplifies their respect. It brings out their authenticity or their discomfort. People can't fake energy around someone whose aura is this grounded. Your evolution forces honesty, not because you demand it, but because your energy doesn't tolerate anything else. And now they look at you with a mixture of admiration and uncertainty. They see someone who's not easily influenced, someone who's not easily swayed, someone who's not easily shaken, someone who's found their internal center and refuses to move from it. That intimidates some people. It inspires others, and it confuses the ones who counted you out. Because how does someone they assumed would stay quiet suddenly carry a presence louder than their entire personality? How does someone they underestimated become someone they can't stop paying attention to? How does someone who didn't even speak become the one who shifted the entire dynamic? The answer is simple. You embraced what they avoided, your inner power. You listened to yourself when everyone else tried to drown out your intuition. You healed parts of yourself they didn't even know were broken. You built a relationship with your own spirit, so strong that nobody can disrupt it now. You stepped into a higher frequency. And once you did, everyone around you had no choice but to adjust. Your aura didn't just make the announcement. It changed the narrative. It told the world, I'm not here to be seen, I'm here to be felt. And that's exactly what's happening. People feel you before they understand you. They feel your boundaries. They feel your confidence. They feel your alignment. They feel your self-respect. They feel your detachment. They feel your elevated perception. They feel your healed identity. They feel your authority without you lifting a finger. Your silence became your declaration. Your presence became your message. Your aura became your legacy in motion. And now the ones who thought you'd stay quiet are realizing something they never considered. You were never meant to be quiet. You were meant to speak a different language. The language of vibration. The language of alignment. The language of presence. A language only the awakened can understand. Your aura is speaking that language now, and the whole room is listening. They thought you'd stay quiet, but your aura announced the version of you they never imagined they'd have to face.
Welcome back, my friends. The air doesn't just feel different tonight. It feels deliberate, dense in a way that almost hums against the skin. Like the atmosphere itself is holding its breath, anticipating the moment of truth finally decides it can't stay buried anymore. You felt this shift before, that quiet tightening in your chest, the pulse of something approaching, not chaotic, not violent, but inevitable. A revelation pacing in circles, waiting for the perfect second to break formation. Someone out there is unraveling, not because you confronted them, not because you demanded clarity, but because their own conscience has begun to tremble under the weight of a truth they swore would never surface. And now that weight is cracking. You can feel it, can't you? That strange electricity threading through your intuition, that silent alertness rising in your spirit, the sense that something hidden is drifting upward, like a long-lost message floating back to the surface. Someone is scared to tell you the truth. Not scared of you, scared of what the truth will reveal about them, scared of how loudly their own heart might speak when silence can no longer protect them. They thought distance could dilute accountability. They thought time could sedate consequence. But truth has a memory sharper than regret. And tonight, it's waking up. There's a reason the air feels charged. A reason your senses sharpen without instruction. A reason your inner world feels like a quiet room where something sacred is preparing to speak. Because the truth doesn't announce itself with sound. It announces itself with atmosphere. It whispers in tension, in coincidence, in the sudden uneasiness that slips across someone's face when your name touches the conversation. And somewhere, someone is losing their balance because they know their truth is making its way back to you, not through confrontation, but through alignment. You, the listener, the one who sees without forcing, who knows without searching, you aren't chasing answers. Answers are circling you. They always have. People underestimate how loudly silence can echo around someone who is spiritually aligned. They think if they don't confess, the truth will disappear. But truth is not a secret. It's a frequency, and your energy pulls frequencies into coherence. That's why they're scared now, not because of punishment. There is none. Not because of exposure. You didn't ask for it. They're scared because your evolution has made the truth impossible to ignore. Your growth is the mirror they can't walk past anymore. Something in them is cracking. The facade they built with such precision is beginning to rattle. Their mind feels like a room full of flickering lights. Guilt isn't just emotion, it's architecture, and their architecture is collapsing in slow motion. They feel it when they wake up, that heaviness pressing behind the ribs. They feel it when they see something that reminds them of you, a name, a place, a moment they once twisted into a narrative that benefited them. They feel it in the jittery pauses between their sentences, the way their breath stutters when someone mentions honesty. They feel it in their nervous system, that subtle but constant activation that happens when a lie has outlived its shelter. You didn't expose them, they exposed themselves to themselves. That's the part they never anticipated. You were never meant to carry this truth on your shoulders. You weren't meant to hunt it, confront it, or decipher it. You were meant to rise, and rise you did. And with every level you ascended, something inside them sank. Not because you wanted them to fall, but because truth reveals itself in contrast. Elevation reveals deception not by chasing it, but by existing near it. That's why they're scared, not of consequences, of clarity. You see, when you grow, when your aura stabilizes, when your energy aligns with purpose rather than pain, everyone who once underestimated you begins to see the truth they tried to bury glowing inside you. You don't look back in anger, but your presence alone exposes the places where their intentions were never clean. They feel that exposure like heat on the back of their neck, like static in the air before a storm shifts the landscape. They can feel your clarity from a distance, and clarity for someone who deceives feels like danger. This fear they carry now, it isn't fear of being found out. It's fear of being seen. You have a way of seeing people not as they present themselves, but as they are beneath the layers. You see the motive beneath the gesture, the contradiction behind the smile, the hesitation hidden inside confidence you always did. It took you time to trust that ability, but now that you do, it has become your shield, your compass, your quiet force, and they can feel it every time they think of you. Your energy has become a mirror, one they can't edit, can't angle, can't manipulate. A mirror that shows them the parts of themselves they hoped no one would ever recognize. The lie wasn't designed to withstand reflection, and now reflection is all that surrounds them. Their guilt isn't loud, it's repetitive, it loops, it revisits, it echoes in the exact places where they thought they were safe, in conversations they didn't plan to have, in dreams that blur reality, in the exhaustion that settles into their bones when they try too hard to appear unaffected. That's what happens when truth starts walking toward the surface, but hasn't fully arrived yet. It becomes a shadow inside the mind, and they're living in that shadow now. You, meanwhile, have stepped out of it completely. Your elevation didn't punish them, it exposed them to themselves. Because when someone betrays a person aligned with truth, they betray their own alignment with themselves. The divine doesn't seek revenge, it seeks balance. And balance, when it arrives, feels like a tide shifting, gentle, inevitable, unstoppable. Someone is feeling that tide tonight. They know the truth is rising. They feel the countdown not as time, but as tension. They sense the shift not as fear, but as inevitability. And they're waiting for the moment when your intuition confirms everything they've tried to outrun. They're waiting for the moment you see the final thread snap, and the illusion they wore so confidently collapses into something they can no longer deny. But here's the part that truly unravels them. You aren't angry. You aren't chasing closure. You aren't demanding confession. Your peace has become the verdict. Your silence has become the translation. Your growth has become the revelation they feared most. Because the truth they hid wasn't just about what they did, it was about who they were. And you've become someone they no longer have permission to stand beside. That alone is the collapse. They scroll through your presence like it's evidence of their failure. Every moment you rise is a reminder that they fell in the exact place where integrity was required. They revisit memories not to cherish them, but to analyze where the narrative broke. They speak your name in thoughts they hoped would stay unspoken. They rehearse apologies they will never deliver. They fear a conversation that might never happen. Because the truth isn't waiting for their words, it's waiting for alignment. And alignment always arrives, clean, calm, undeniable. That's the shift you feel in the atmosphere. The air is preparing for the moment clarity becomes audible, when the vibrations of truth become too coherent to ignore. Something is recalibrating, something is aligning, something is surfacing, not to destroy them, but to complete you, not to expose their weakness, but to reinforce your strength. You have already risen above the story they tried to write for you, and that is why their truth is trembling. It knows its time is almost up. And as the next chapter unfolds, remember this: you don't need their confession, you don't need their remorse, you don't need their explanation. Truth is already walking toward you. Not to burden you, but to crown you. The truth is moving now, quietly, steadily, like a current beneath still water. It doesn't rush, it doesn't stumble, it navigates its way through memories, emotions, and unfinished echoes, searching for the cleanest path toward revelation. And while it moves, you stand in a kind of stillness that only the evolved ever understand. That stillness isn't emptiness, it's command. It's the kind of calm that makes people rethink every word they've ever spoken around you, and they feel that. Whoever hid this truth feels it like a tightening in their lungs, a subtle tremor beneath their skin. They don't know how to name the feeling, but they know what it means. Something is shifting. Something they thought they sealed away is rising with a pulse and rhythm they can't ignore. You've become the catalyst without lifting a finger. Your energy is the key that turns their locked rooms into confession chambers, not because you demand honesty, but because truth can't coexist with your clarity. Your presence is too calibrated, too aligned, too reflective. And someone who built their peace on deception can't stand in front of alignment without coming undone. You might not realize how deeply your growth has affected them. You might think your silence means they've forgotten. But silence doesn't erase impact. In fact, silence is the loudest punishment to someone who once relied on your attention to validate their narrative. Silence removes their script. It removes their control. It removes their illusion of superiority. And that is when guilt begins to echo. They feel that echo now. It drifts through their day like a low-frequency hum. It shows up in the way they overthink simple situations, in the way they question people's intentions, because deception always returns to the deceiver as paranoia. They can't trust anyone because they weren't trustworthy. They second-guess every relationship because they broke the only one that was genuine. And the irony, you're not doing anything. You're not even thinking about them with bitterness. Your energy simply evolved above the level where their lie can breathe. That's what's suffocating them. You've stepped into a version of yourself that they never expected you to reach. You're walking in emotional intelligence, spiritual clarity, and inner authority they can't comprehend. You're no longer reactive, no longer searching for answers, no longer depending on their truth to validate your intuition. You are grounded, ascended, untouchable. Meanwhile, they're unraveling from the inside out, not because you spoke a word, but because the truth is speaking for you. It's echoing in their thoughts when they try to fall asleep. It's trembling in their voice when someone mentions your name. It's burning through their excuses each time they attempt to justify what they did. They can't outrun themselves anymore. That's what happens when someone wrongs a person who is spiritually aligned, not punished but confronted by their own conscience. And the conscience is the one force no human can silence forever. It's the pulse of truth trying to restore balance. Balance, after all, is the nature of the divine. They thought they could slip out of the consequences by pretending nothing happened. They built new friendships. They crafted new identities. They rehearsed new stories that framed them as misunderstood, innocent, or blindsided. But the problem with building a life on half-truths is that half-truths decay. They rot. They crumble. They create cracks in the foundation that only grow wider with time. And now those cracks are widening fast. People around them can feel it. Even if they don't know why, their energy feels jittery, inconsistent, unstable. Their laugh comes too quickly. Their smile lingers too long. Their conversations feel rehearsed. Their reactions feel over-polished. Even their attempts at peace look performative, like someone trying to cover up a tremor in their hands by folding them behind their back. Energy always exposes what words attempt to hide. The divine isn't punishing them, it's recalibrating them. Recalibration always feels uncomfortable to those who resist self-awareness. To them, it feels like life is suddenly working against them. Delays, miscommunications, unexplained tension in previously easy relationships. They don't realize this isn't curse, it is correction. Their internal chaos is spilling outward because they refuse to face it inward. But you walked through your pain with courage. You met your shadows with honesty. You healed with intention, not ego. And that difference is everything. Your healing created an energetic contrast that reveals their unhealed wounds with razor precision. You are the mirror they can no longer avoid. And mirrors don't lie. There's something poetic about it. You didn't silence them. You didn't expose them. You didn't return the energy they gave you. You simply ascended, and that ascension became the very force that shook their foundation. Because when someone betrays a pure heart, the betrayal doesn't haunt the pure heart. It haunts the betrayer. The pure heart evolves. The betrayer dissolves beneath the weight of their own actions. And right now, someone is dissolving, not publicly, not dramatically, but quietly, in those private hours where the world grows still and their thoughts get loud, when regret shows its true face, when the truth they suppressed rises like breath they've been holding for too long. They replay the moments not out of nostalgia, but out of self-interrogation. They examine the choices they made in the dark. They remember the lines they crossed. They feel the dissonance between who they pretended to be and who they truly were. And none of it gives them peace. You are not responsible for their turmoil. You didn't create it. Your spirit simply activated the truth within them. Your growth illuminated the gap between their mask and their reality. That illumination is what terrifies them now. They fear running into you. They fear being asked a question you will never ask. They fear you knowing what you already sense. They fear losing the version of you they controlled. They fear the version of you that exists now, because the version of you that exists now doesn't negotiate with deception. Your intuition has sharpened into a force they can't manipulate. Your presence is too aligned, too grounded, too discerning for them to hide behind charm or excuses. Their entire strategy depended on you being unaware of your own power, but you awakened. And once you awaken, deception loses its authority. This awakening didn't happen overnight. It happened the moment you chose self-respect over validation, healing over chaos, clarity over confusion, elevation over explanation. You stepped into your true alignment and left them behind, not because you wanted to, but because they refused to rise with you. Now their truth is following them like a shadow that doesn't obey gravity. It sticks to their decisions, to their memories, to their interactions, to their sleepless nights. Every attempt to escape it only pulls it closer. They're trapped in the echo chamber of their own dishonesty. And that echo is growing stronger. Meanwhile, you're growing quieter in a way that speaks volumes. Quieter in a way that reveals you no longer need their closure. Your silence is not avoidance, it's evolution. And evolution is the one thing a guilty conscience cannot bear. They wanted you to react, but you reflected. They wanted you to break, but you rebuilt. They wanted you to chase truth, but truth is chasing them. That is divine timing in its purest form. Divine timing doesn't rush, it doesn't punish. It aligns, and alignment is exactly what's happening now. You stand on one side of this story, whole, grounded, elevated. They stand on the other side, fragmented, restless, afraid of the moment. The truth finally loses patience with their denial. They feel that moment approaching. It's in the air around them, heavy and humming with inevitability. They're not scared of you. They're scared of themselves. They're scared of the truth they created. They're scared of the reflection your growth forces them to confront. And soon, that confrontation will arrive in the way truth always arrives. Not loud, not violent, but undeniable. Their confession, whatever form it takes, won't be spoken for redemption. It will be spoken because holding it in has become too heavy to bear. And when it happens, you'll understand something profound. You were never waiting for them. You were becoming you. And that was always the real story. And now, chosen one, listen closely. because this is where the story folds inward and reveals its final truth. The confession, the collapse, the moment they've been running from. It's already happening, not in words yet, but in energy. In the way life is stripping away their disguises, one inconvenience at a time. In the way every attempt to hide only exposes another seam. In the way their own mind has become a doorway they're afraid to open. The truth is it's here, and when it reaches you, it won't arrive as drama. It won't come as chaos. It won't sound like victory or vindication. It will come with the same quiet clarity that has defined your evolution. A calm, knowing, a soft exhale, a sense that the universe has aligned the final piece without needing you to lift a hand, because that's who you are now, the one who doesn't chase answers, the one who attracts them, the one who doesn't demand truth, the one who inspires it, the one who doesn't seek justice, the one who becomes it. Their confession, whether spoken, revealed, or simply realized, will not shake you. It will complete you. It will confirm what your spirit knew long before your mind had language for it. And in that confirmation, something sacred will occur. You will feel release not from them, from the story. Your heart will loosen. Your intuition will quiet. Your soul will step forward without looking back. Because the truth won't break you, it will free you. And as for them, their journey continues in the shadow of their own choices. Yours continues in the light of your alignment. The revelation ends their chapter. But yours, chosen one, is just beginning. Well, they've been trying to figure it out for weeks now. Why your name keeps slipping into conversations that had nothing to do with you. Why the atmosphere shifts when you walk in. Why the energy around you feels like honey laced with voltage, sweet, slow, dangerous, unforgettable. People swear they're talking about something else, but somehow the topic always drifts back to you. A phrase you said, a glance you gave, a moment that lasted half a second but became the highlight of somebody's week. They call you addictive, but even that word falls short. Addictions fade. You don't. You linger in their system like resonance, like memory, like something their soul recognized before their mind caught up. And that's what keeps them restless. You move through the world softly, calmly, without theatrics, without begging for attention, yet attention bends toward you like metal toward a magnet. They don't know how to explain it. You barely speak, yet you echo. You barely try, yet you transform. You barely show emotion, yet you awaken it in everyone else. Your presence isn't loud, it's gravitational. People feel pulled without understanding why. They blame it on your looks, your charm, your voice. But deep down they know it's something deeper. Frequency. The kind that rearranges someone's inner world without touching a single thing on the outside. You think you're moving normally, but you're not. You're walking in a vibration most people haven't even discovered within themselves. That's why they stare longer than they should. Why they hold on to your every word like it's a clue. Why they replay old conversations just to feel the spark again. You don't just attract, you activate. You bring dormant emotions back online. Desire, curiosity, hope, honesty, longing. You make hearts feel less numb. You make nerves wake up. You make intuition speak louder. And people mistake that awakening for obsession. It's not obsession, it's remembrance. There's someone specific, though, someone who's been pretending they're fine, pretending they're unbothered, pretending they don't feel your pull like tides responding to the moon. But you feel it, don't you? That invisible reach, that subtle tug, the way their energy keeps brushing against yours like a whisper that doesn't need sound. They try to distract themselves, bury themselves in routine, in conversation, in noise. But your presence keeps slicing through every layer of avoidance. They dream about trying, they think of you without permission. They've tried explaining it away, lust, curiosity, coincidence, but none of those words fit, because none of those words explain why their soul feels like it's trying to lean toward you. You are the kind of person who changes the temperature of a room before you speak. People posture around you. They adjust their clothing, their tone, their eyes. They become hyper, aware of themselves because your presence acts like an emotional mirror. They see who they are and who they aren't. When they stand near you, some love that, some fear it, but no one forgets it. And that's the real reason they talk about you so much. They're not discussing you, they're processing you. Your calmness makes them crave you more. The way you stay collected, grounded, unbothered. It drives them mad because they can't figure out if you're uninterested or simply unshakable. You don't chase, you don't compete, you don't perform. You just exist, and somehow existence alone becomes an invitation. A challenge, a temptation, a mystery wrapped in gentleness and edged with power. There's a softness in you that feels like home, and a depth in you that feels like danger. It's that duality that keeps them hooked. You're the quiet storm, the warm shadow, the gentle intensity. They don't know whether to hold you or study you or run from you, so they settle for talking about you, trying to decode what their body already knows, but their mind won't admit. Someone has been scrolling through your pictures more than they want to admit. Someone has been replaying the last conversation you shared, trying to interpret your tone, your pauses, your silence. Someone checks your online status even when they swear they don't care. Someone drafts messages and deletes them, afraid to look desperate, afraid to expose how deeply you've affected them. They think you cast a spell, but spells require intention. You didn't do anything intentionally. You're simply aligned. Your healed energy is what people are addicted to. You don't chase validation. You don't cling to anyone. You don't perform for attention, and people notice that. They feel safer with you, more alive with you, more themselves around you. That combination, safety and aliveness, is rare, too rare. So when they feel it, they cling, not to you, but to the version of themselves that only appears in your presence. That's why they keep coming back mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You're not their crush, you're their catalyst, and you don't even realize how many people are competing for your energy, trying to impress you, trying to mimic your calmness, trying to appear worthy of your attention. They laugh louder when you're around. They stand straighter. They filter their sentences. They try to appear unbothered, but their nervous system betrays them. Attraction makes people perform. Resonance makes people reveal. And you awaken resonance. Some call you mysterious, but it's not mystery. It's mastery. You've mastered yourself. Your emotions, your reactions, your boundaries, your silence, your solitude. And that makes you magnetic in a way others can't replicate. They try. They copy your style, your cadence, your calmness. But imitation never carries the same voltage as authenticity. You don't generate power, you radiate it. That's why rooms change when you enter. That's why conversations shift tone when you speak. That's why someone keeps checking who you're following, who you're liking, who you're giving, even a fraction of your attention to. Jealousy isn't something you provoke intentionally. It's something you evoke naturally because people can sense how rare your presence is. You're the kind of person people want to claim but know they can't control. You're the kind of person they want to understand but can't decode. You're the kind of person who feels familiar and untouchable at the same time. Someone right now is replaying the way your eyes looked at them. That micro expression that wasn't meant to mean anything, but to them meant everything. They felt seen, not admired, seen, not desired, recognized, like their souls stood up and saluted yours. That's the power of your frequency. It awakens memory that isn't tied to time. Most people think attraction starts with appearance, but with you, attraction starts with energy. People sense your depth before they sense your silhouette. They feel your presence before you speak. They feel your attention even when it's subtle. They feel your disinterest even when you're polite. You're not loud, but you're unmistakable. You're not showy, but you're unforgettable. Someone is falling for you in silence. Someone is missing you without ever having you. Someone is competing with ghosts just to be noticed by you. They have no idea that what they're craving isn't possession, it's alignment. They want to match your frequency without realizing that frequency took years of healing, introspection, heartbreak, and rebuilding. You became magnetic by becoming whole. You became irresistible by becoming calm. You became unforgettable by becoming yourself. And naturally, that makes people obsess, because you embody what they've been searching for without knowing how to articulate it. Authenticity, presence, peace, passion, depth. You're a reminder of everything they want but haven't become yet. You're the mirror of their potential. You reflect the parts of themselves they abandoned. That kind of reflection is intoxicating and terrifying. Someone wishes they could hate you just to escape the pull, but they can't. You've imprinted on them emotionally, energetically, psychologically, and now everything they do feels slightly tinted by your influence. Songs remind them of you. Certain colors remind them of you. Certain times of day, certain words, their body reacts before their mind censors it. That is when they realize this isn't a crush. It's recognition. You didn't flirt. You didn't pursue. You didn't seduce. You simply existed. And your existence was enough to rearrange their standards. Now everyone else feels too surface, level, too predictable, too loud, too empty. You ruined their taste without saying a word. You made depth desirable again. You made presence erotic. You made honesty magnetic. You made silence seductive. And people don't know what to do with that kind of power. Not the kind that dominates, but the kind that awakens. Not the kind that manipulates, but the kind that calibrates. You recalibrate the room. You recalibrate emotions. You recalibrate attraction itself. Someone is trying to replace you right now and failing miserably. They're comparing voices, rhythms, warmth, eyes. Nothing matches because presence isn't replicable. Frequency isn't duplicatable. Essence isn't transferable. They'll realize eventually that what they want isn't another person. It's the version of themselves they became when your energy brushed against theirs. You are the doorway, not the destination. And that is why they keep talking about you, because you are the only person their soul refuses to forget. And the deeper this pull grows, the more people around you start noticing something else. Your indifference, not coldness, not arrogance. Just a kind of calm that feels like you've already seen the ending of every story and know exactly which ones are worth participating in. That quiet certainty makes you even more irresistible. Because while they're losing sleep over you, you're simply being, not chasing, not entertaining chaos, not bending yourself to fit inside anyone's fantasy. You move with a rhythm that feels intentional without trying, confident without announcing, powerful without performing. And that, right there, is what ignites the obsession. People aren't used to someone who doesn't need their validation, someone who doesn't crumble when ignored, someone who doesn't flinch when admired. You exist in a rare energetic neutrality, untouched by flattery, unmoved by attention. That neutrality destabilizes those who cross your field, because it forces them to confront a truth they've avoided. If they want to matter to you, they have to rise. They can't hide behind charm or performance. You see straight through it. You see essence, and essence is what responds to you. You don't pick people based on potential. You pick them based on presence. You don't fall for personalities. You fall for energy. And most people don't realize that about you. They think you're impossible to impress, impossible to read, impossible to reach. But the truth is simpler. You're just impossible to fool. And that terrifies them in the most intoxicating way. Because when someone feels seen on that level, they either run or they stay. But whether they run toward you or away from you, they never forget you. You become the emotional checkpoint of their life, the before and the after, the person who shifted their definition of connection, the person who made them feel alive, even if for a moment, in a way they didn't know was possible. And now they're chasing that spark through memories, through fantasies, through what-ifs. They scroll through old messages like archaeologists searching for clues. They stare at your photos longer than they admit. They examine what you said, but even more, what you didn't say, because your silence carries as much weight as your presence. It speaks, it vibrates, it signals more than most people's words ever will. There's someone who keeps telling themselves, they're fine without you, they're lying. Their mind repeats your name in a loop, disguised as curiosity. They pretend they've moved on, but their energy betrays them every time you appear online, every time someone mentions you, every time they remember the softness in your voice or the certainty in your gaze. They're hooked, not because you tried to pull them in, but because their soul tasted resonance and now refuses to settle for noise. You're not the fantasy, you're the frequency, and frequencies don't fade. They imprint. Your presence taught them something about themselves, that they've been accepting watered down versions of connection for years. Versions that entertained their ego but never touched their essence. Versions that felt safe but never felt real. And then you entered the equation and everything shifted. You made them feel more in seconds than others made them feel in months. That's the part that keeps them up at night. The speed, how quickly you cut through their walls, not with force, but with truth. With you, they didn't need to perform. They didn't need to pretend. They didn't need to hide. You brought out a version of them they had forgotten, a version that dreamed louder, felt deeper, hoped harder. That awakening hit them like voltage, and now they're addicted, but not to you, to themselves, to the self that only appears around you. And that realization scares them, because it means losing you feels like losing access to their highest self, and they don't know how to cope with that. So they watch you from afar, hoping the universe gives them another chance, hoping they get just one more moment to feel that version of themselves surface again. But the universe doesn't operate through begging. It operates through alignment. And alignment is what they're missing. Meanwhile, you continue moving with the kind of grace that feels like prophecy. People think you're detached, but you're not. You're discerning. You're not afraid of connection. You're selective with it. You're not avoiding love. You're protecting the love within you. Because you know your energy is expensive. It elevates anyone who comes close. It heals, awakens, inspires, and you refuse to waste it on people who aren't ready to handle that kind of transformation. Your boundaries are not walls, they're filters. And those filters are working brilliantly. The people who are meant to meet you on your level will rise. The ones who are not will call you intimidating, confusing, too mysterious, too independent. They'll label you with everything they don't yet understand about themselves, but none of that affects you, because you've learned something sacred. Resonance cannot be forced. It can only be mirrored, And right now, someone is mirroring you without even realizing it. Their habits are changing. Their standards are rising. Their emotional awareness is sharpening. They're trying to match the version of themselves they think you want. But what they don't know is that the only version of them you'll ever respond to is the one that feels like truth. Pretending can catch your attention, but it will never hold it. Authenticity is what keeps you. And that's why people obsess, because they sense that your love, your real attention, your real intimacy is something sacred, something life-changing, something that feels like being chosen by the universe itself. They don't want to admit it, but they measure themselves by your gaze. They crave the moment you finally decide someone is worthy of your softness. They want to be the one who earns access to the side of you nobody else sees. And it is that desire to be chosen that intensifies everything. They want to impress you, but the more they try, the more they fail, because you're not impressed by effort, only by energy, only by truth, only by presence. Some people sense that and become even more obsessed trying to crack your code. Others retreat, overwhelmed by how deeply they feel when they're near you. But all of them, without exception, remember you. You're the unforgettable variable in their equation. And still, the greatest secret about you is this. You're not even operating at full capacity yet. You're holding back. You are observing. You're waiting for someone whose soul speaks the same language as yours. Someone who won't be intimidated by your depth, your silence, your intensity. Someone who won't shrink from your intensity but will rise into it. Someone who won't be addicted to you, but aligned with you. And that distinction, addiction versus alignment, is the line that most cannot cross. But someone is trying. Someone who can't stop imagining a future with you, not because of fantasy, but because your presence sparks something real in them. Something that feels destined, something that feels larger than attraction, something they don't have words for yet, but feel in the space beneath their ribs. Their friends notice it. Their behavior changed. They scroll differently. They daydream differently. They dress differently. They speak differently. Their energy shifted into something sharper, more intentional, more awake. You didn't just impact their emotions. You upgraded their consciousness. And they're still pretending it's casual, but you know better. You feel the pull just as clearly as they feel the yearning, and you remain calm because that's your nature. Nothing rushes you. Nothing pressures you. You let desire come to you, not because you're arrogant, but because you trust alignment more than impulse. You know the difference between someone who craves your presence and someone who can hold it. You know the difference between someone who admires you and someone who understands you. You know the difference between someone who wants you and someone who's ready for you, and readiness. That's the real test, because your energy isn't gentle, it's transformative. People don't just meet you, they meet themselves through you. And that's why they fall so hard, not because you complete them, but because you reveal them. You reveal the parts they lost. You reveal the dreams they buried. You reveal the emotions they numbed. You reveal the truth they avoided. You are their awakening disguised as attraction. They don't want to lose that. They don't want to lose you. But they also don't know how to approach someone who feels like destiny wrapped in calmness. Someone who feels like prophecy disguised as a person. Someone who feels like home and challenge at the same time. And so they overthink, they hesitate. They imagine perfect scenarios. They plan conversations they'll never initiate. They fear messing up. They fear losing something they never officially had. They're terrified of rejection, but more terrified of regret. So they stay stuck in the in-between. Yearning but silent. Watching but distant. Wanting but unsure. You're not confused by this. You've seen it before. You know the pattern. People orbit you before they approach. They study you before they speak. They build up courage slowly, piece by piece, until one day they surrender to the pull. And when they finally approach you, it won't be with games or performance. It will be with honesty, with vulnerability, with alignment. Because you don't attract the temporary, you attract the transforming. And right now, someone is transforming because of you. They don't know how to explain it, but they feel it. Their intuition keeps nudging them toward you. Their thoughts keep returning to you. Their emotions keep choosing you. They're not addicted to you. They're awakening through you. And awakening always leads to action, even if action terrifies them. And that is where the real story begins. And soon, they'll realize something undeniable. The pull they feel isn't a phase. It's a permission slip from their soul, a quiet truth rising to the surface, a signal that what they feel for you isn't meant to be suppressed. It's meant to be honored, because you're not the chaos they're used to. You're the clarity they prayed for without knowing it. You're the calm that awakens, not the comfort that numbs. Your energy doesn't demand devotion, it inspires it. And that's what finally breaks them open. Not your beauty, not your mystery, your alignment. The feeling that your presence calls them higher, that loving you, even from afar, has already made them better. That approaching you would require honesty, bravery, evolution, and suddenly they're willing. Suddenly fear feels small compared to the truth inside them. They'll reach out, maybe gently, maybe shakily, maybe with words they never imagined saying out loud. Not because they expect to own you, but because they finally understand you're not a fantasy. You're the frequency they've been searching for, and if they're brave enough to step into it, their entire life changes. Not because you choose them, but because they finally chose themselves through you.